Hello, I'm Helen Van Wyk, and welcome to my studio. I love today's session. It's a critique session. I get a chance to work on someone else's picture instead of my own. I can do anything I want, feel free. Make it a mess or a masterpiece, 50-50 chance maybe. I do want to talk about some important factor that you can put in your paint box and draw upon it at any time you paint. And that is, don't ever paint kisses. You can't kiss on canvas. And I'm going to correct this landscape, this snow scene. And the first thing I'm going to do is relieve it of all the kissing that's going on. This is called a kiss, where this distance is hitting this point, where these trees are hitting this point, where this is hitting here and becoming confused. And so what happens when these you make these kisses is that the drawing is confused. You don't know whether this is in the back. It might look as though it's attached to this. So let's make some very quick corrections of that right away and see how correcting kisses makes the picture better. I'm going to drop this down to here, and I think you suddenly see that this stands out from that. I'm not correcting the shape of this at this moment. I'm just going to correct wherever I think that the kissing is just too much. Let's get rid of it here and move this color down so that this lighter color hits at a plainer place. And let's get rid of this one too. So, I'm not going to teach you how to paint a landscape. I'm going to teach you what not to do when you paint a landscape. Be careful how you make things meet each other. Now, another thing in landscape painting that I see a lot that is more distracting than helpful is that a cloud is put in just because it's there. It's not put in as an asset to the picture, an asset to the focal point. And so we look at this barn and then we say, oh, look at that cloud. Wouldn't it be better if the cloud were being a help to the picture? One way to make clouds helpful is to have them meet the other elements of the composition. So I think I'm going to move that cloud down here. And also take away its awful whiteness, but I made it too yellow. Yellow ochre. Yellow ochre and white makes a nice cloud. It gives a presence of sunlight on it. So I'm going to make this cloud come down here, or make a whole cloud effect. Painting outdoors is very challenging. Because we really don't know anything about this picture from a standpoint of whether it's what type of atmospheric mood it has. Atmospheric mood is an important, this chimney seems too tall too, can be the stunning allure of a landscape. It's not the subject, it's the presentation of the subject at that particular day. So now that's warmed up. It's not so cold looking. It's a nicer winter day. So, a couple of things to think about when you paint landscapes. Be eclectic or be careful about your clouds. don't just put any old cloud. Put a cloud effect that you think is going to be an asset to the focal area, and don't make kisses. Can't kiss on canvas. Now let's inspect something else that's a principle that you can use all the time. These shadows indicate that the light's coming from the right. And yet, how can this be dark and this not be dark? It's on the same shadow side. So in order to paint this atmosphere, this day, the allure of the subject at that particular day, we have to recognize where the light's coming from and the lighting effect that it's having on the subject. And so I'm going to darken this snow. To coincide with the shadow that is there. And since I've already warmed up the sky, now this snow looks too white, too chalky, too depressing. Let's make it yellower. Make the sun hit it a little bit. And it would hit here. While I have it on my brush, why don't I warm up the snow on the ground. And now I can put the white or off-white. Warm. Colors that are warm. They're colors into yellow, oranges, and reds, mostly yellows and oranges. Cool colors. Colors that have cool colors in them, violet, blue, or greens. Now to make this go further back, I incorporated some of that blue to help get a feeling of the atmosphere. Now to make this go a little bit further back, maybe it's too dark. See what I mean? I just love to work over a picture. Now, when I get over here, I've got to be careful that I'm not the same tone as this. Before we fix the kiss, but I'm liable to end up with the same value. Well, I like that color for the back leaf, so I'm going to lighten that. Because it's tipped a little bit, it can stand to be a little lighter. And now we have the more colorful trees or twigs in front. And then there's this tree that's by the house. I've made the sun come out, but now the sun is not hitting the red barn. That means that the red barn has to have red plus white. Light means white. Ooh, how much better. Now, of course, the shadows on that look a little bit too dark. How can I shadow the red? Make a darker red. Take the white out. Not use white into the red. And add its complement green. In this case, sap green. Let's see what that does. Oh, that makes a much more pleasant looking shadow from that eave. Oh, that makes a much more pleasant looking shadow. And on this side of the barn. This cast shadows are darker type shadows from the little shed. This is a cast shadow too, I could darken that. I think we need a little bit of reflected light under the eave, coming from the light hitting here, bouncing up into this plane. If you study the light, every subject is under your brush, meaning there's a possibility to do any subject, because light does the same silly thing all the time. Now, I think that it would be a great advantage to have a cast shadow from the barn on the snow. It would set the barn down. Maybe let this light fall behind it, so it looks as though these trees are a little bit further away from the barn. All my corrections have been in relation to principles, not my opinion. I've justified each thing. I've put the cloud next to the focal point to help the focal point rather than distract it. I've lightened this because it's in the distance. I've put cast shadows because the light is coming from the right. I've warmed, because I warmed that, I had to warm this. You see, someone said to me one time, "Helen, how did you get to be such a good teacher?" I said, "Well, I started teaching when I was very, very young, and everyone doubted what I said. So I do this," and they said, "Well, why? You know, how come you tell me what to do?" And I had to come up with a logical answer or reasoning to my instruction. Because that's true. If you're going to make your comment on nature, nature is very logical, and you have to be logical with your brush. And now I have a cast shadow from the house or from the barn. How come I'm not having cast shadows from these twigs? They have to cast shadows too. And as soon as they do, they're going to be more substantial. And this are exactly the same size. Remember I said don't ever make something monotonous. I mean, we march to, when we hear a march, we march because we get caught up in it. We can't help but do the same. So you get here and you see this the same as this, and because they're the same, you get caught there and you don't want to go anywhere else. So it's much better to add a little bit of variety. Whoops, maybe I need a more wispy brush for that. And if you're going to do twigs coming up out of the snow or twigs coming up from anywhere, don't start at the top. Start at the bottom and then let them fade away as they... I'll make that a little bit more solid. I'll make that the smaller one and taller. I'm going to make these the longer one. I'm going to correct another one for you with some other mistakes. That's why I'm in a hurry. But you can see that just a bold correction of the fact that this is now going to be a smaller element in the composition to this, a larger element in the composition, I think has made it better. Well, it always has to be a matter of, I think, a little bit too. You know, art is not a matter of fact, it's just a matter of opinion. So you have to, but your opinion can be fortified by appreciating the elements of nature. And then this is all going to come up with a little bit more. So, and then cast shadows. Wow, I really did work that one over. Let me change and put up another one and show you what mistakes I can correct in the next picture. We're back at critique session, and this picture suffers from a common malady: no focal point. Well, there's this and this and this and this and that and this and this and that, no focal point. This too, that's a thing that comes looming up like a spaceship. It's important to see corrective criticism or have corrective criticism. It's just like going to a doctor. I mean, a doctor, he prescribes medicine to cure you. Corrective criticism can cure an aching painting. So let's cure this one and try to implant a focal point so that there's pictorial impact. Try never to divide a canvas in the middle, and it seems as though the land and the sea is middle, and this is what shall we do? What shall we do? Raise the water or lower the water? You can do anything you want on a canvas. I do critique sessions. I don't teach anymore, but I do critique sessions. And it's just amazing how vigorous the audience criticizes the other person's paintings. So I think I'll raise it. That definitely makes this bigger than that, and I think it looks better. And let's try to eliminate the spaceship a little bit. It's distracting. It's distracting to me. Of course, you have options to try to make it work. So the sky is a landscape's distance. It's negative space sometimes, and so changes of tone should either hit the subject or hit the edge of the canvas, not be parked in the middle. So why don't I make this dark tone actually go out to the edge of the canvas so that it acts as a framework. Oh, there went the gull. Poor gull. Didn't have much of a speaking part, this picture. And I like to see the light concentrated not in the middle, but more toward one side. Now there was a boat way over here. That took your eye out of the picture. If I were going to put a boat in this picture, I'd certainly not put it in the middle from here to here, and I would never put it on top of that. I think it would be better to move it over. Sailboat, maybe. More sailboats. Let's try to make this the focal point right in here. This post is rather nice. And so let's make that the theme of it. And instead of having these in spots, let's make that a entire mass. Oh, I can't seem to find the brush that will do this quickly enough so that you can see the change. And connect it to this. Now we don't have separate elements. We have one distant element, making your eye look more here. Now let's focus on that more. There's some confusion. You don't really know what this fence is because, well, let's make sure that the sand. So they say, oh, I saw a wonderful picture of an old fence in the sand. Then 1, 2, 3, all alike. Let's get rid of one, or let's get rid of this one. I'll get rid of both of them. It looks better. It's not as junked up. And let's rely again on nature's way of presenting this world to us, and that is with lighting. And let's make this post cast a shadow. To give it a little sensibility, natural sensibility. So we've simplified this picture. Taken out a lot of the things that we're taking away from one area of interest, and that is the posts. See, I would never let that post touch that, although right now it looks as though it's pushing it up, doesn't it? I think I have to do something about that. I have to overlap it, and maybe that would be what we learned on the last one. That would be a fine kind of version of a kiss. So let me bring this further down. Ah, I like that better. But now I need some light right there. And it would be better, too, to carry out the theme that this had some. So, let me step back and see what's happened to this picture. Stepping back always gives you the point of view you need, the objective point of view. Because right up close, you really sometimes don't know what's going on. And from a distance, you say, ooh! So I stepped back and I thought, here I've tried to improve the focal point and I still don't have one. This still doesn't look right. The post doesn't stand out from the background enough. There's not really enough interest. So maybe I have to make a slight variation right in here. And make sure that no grass comes out from the posts. How can I make those posts stand out a little bit more? How can I make those posts stand out a little bit more? Well, maybe I can put a plane on them that they don't have. I don't have a top plane. Suddenly stands out a little bit better. Top plane meaning, you know, the light's coming from above. Hallelujah, usually does. And so the tops of things get light. Maybe that helped a little bit. make this one a bit more important. To make sure that this is in the distance, maybe this could get darker. It's landscape painting, not that we always do them the same, but it's true, we do need a distance, a middle distance, and a foreground. Now I've made this too much like that. Oh well. No one knows how much you suffer over these pictures. They just say, "Oh, isn't that nice?" Or they, "Oh, I don't know." Yeah, I like that better. So this is the sand dunes at Wingersheek Beach, right near Rockport. Someday you should visit there, and I'll teach you then how to make soup. Hello, I'm Helen Van Wyk, and welcome to my studio.